Are you all right? Nice to see you.
Steve?
No.
Yeah? You might have seen him on videos. Last week, you know, when at Sunderland, the vaccine centre got closed down, right? It was Steve doing all the talking. You see, wasn't it?
Where the police car was by in Sunderland. I seen it. Well, I've just come up from Oxford, but I did see it. Where
He jumped in it, yeah.
that was a little laugh on it. The policewoman with little black hair with a mask on. That one. You were very diplomatic.
Just take this from.
I thought you had a lovely manner because I used to I've worked on a couple of groups down there, and I did the first notices that went out to the schools and the police stations and that. And we had this lad had a group called Lions, and I was the first lioness in there. And we had like an initiation, so you could only join if you did a difficulty serving notice and you uploaded it to the group, so that when you were getting like what was I going to say here? Yeah, I can't remember now. I was leaving up with something. I got out on the night and trying not to be because I had the other people that stopped up the services today, and I had this, I thought it said natural food for vegans, and it was a dal curry, and it was supposed to be fresh. There was a kitchen there. Honestly, I've been sick about 5 times.
Okay, can we start now? Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Is this the testing curries?
Yeah. Yeah.
How do you know?
I've seen the bars go up and down.
I saw the bars going up and down as well, but when I was doing this.
Oh yeah, that's definitely worth. Yeah, definitely. Okay, welcome everyone.
Is it though? Is it? No, it's happening.
Yeah, you tell me, Charlie. Yeah. Right. Okay. So, thanks for coming, everyone. Welcome to Porky Pint on a Wednesday night. So, if we can keep the sound really quiet, because it's the noise. For some reason, it's even louder in the next room, right? So at least they can hear what's going on. So, welcome everyone in the other rooms, right? We've got a very special guest this week, right? And I'm really, really sort of very special guest. I can't tell you how much. Now, Victoria was studying to become a barrister before her life turned upside down following the sudden death of her 4-year-old child from an undiagnosed meningitis. Yeah, followed by police accusations of murder.
Reckless manslaughter.
Reckless manslaughter, right. Little Joe's life, there he is there, yeah, was far from meaningless. Victoria received blessings and purpose beyond her imagination. Now, Victoria's clarity of natural law is a gift for all of us. Charlie and I had a discussion with her on Monday night, and everything she says is just really sort of very, not just inspiring, but I find it, it's just so clear, the clarity of natural law that we all have. And sometimes when we get caught up in situations like the police are asking us questions and they say, do you understand? And we get caught up in all those kind of things. Well, this Victoria's got a way of understanding that, how we stand in our inalienable
in my own authority.
In our own authority, yeah.
Yeah.
So thanks for coming, everyone. There'll be time for questions at the end of it, and it's being recorded. So please, a round of applause for Victoria.
I'll just check which way this goes. Right. So So when Joe was born in 1999, that's when I first moved down to Oxford. My ex-husband had been building Formula One and contracting, and before he was doing that contracting, we'd been stealing potatoes out the farmers' fields because he got ripped off on other contracts. And when we weren't together for very long because he was a narcissist, and when we broke up anyway, I just wanted to be free, because he was violent, and once he'd started to be destructive around me children, I think he only did it once, and I left. So I was actually in a hostel with me little girl who was 6 at the time, and Joe was 3, nearly 4, and he was poorly for 4 weeks, I would say. He would go to nursery and he would be lethargic in the afternoons, and I took him to the doctors, and I was 26 at the time, and I remember being in a 3D mindset where you see the authority is, you look up to them. We've been taught to believe that they have the answers, and really that what do we know about anything if we don't have the qualifications to show for it? So they sent us home on 4 separate occasions. Then on a Saturday, he just had a raging temperature. He had a temperature of 104, a weeping eardrum and a rash all over his back. And I took him to the locum doctor on a Saturday, and I was worried that he would have a febrile convulsion because he'd convulsed before when he was 18 months old. So she said, oh, he's absolutely fine, don't worry about it, it's just a virus. Take him home for 7 days. If he isn't all right, bring him back. And he dropped dead on the 7th day in the bath, and his little body was in the fetal position, and my 6-year-old daughter was there, and she says, Mummy, I think our Joe's asleep on the bottom of the bath. And I just remember feeling absolutely terrified, but being consciously aware that I didn't want to ruin the rest of our life. And I said, it's all right, John, don't worry about it, Mummy's got him. And I picked him out the bath, and I just remember with everything in me being feeling like, God, just please help us. And it was 2 or 3 weeks later, I think, and you get like a liaison officer. And actually, on the day he died, this is how naive I was. I'd come back to the house on the night time, and there was yellow crime tape all around the house, and the forensics were in there. And I honestly believe, I cannot even believe I believed this. I honestly believed that they were trying to find out why my son had died, because I didn't know. I didn't even realise I was a suspect. And yet I've seen it on CSI. I've seen the crime. It was round the lamppost and everything, round the entire house. And it just didn't dawn on us. And the liaison officer, they would like tell you what was going on, and that he was saying, oh, don't worry about it. I've told them they don't need to arrest you because you're forthcoming with your information and that. And because they were dealing with dead bodies quite often, they used to go on like where you would know, what is it when you like have a breakaway from?
Sabbatical.
Yes,
Oh,
that's
sorry.
just seemed a word you'd be familiar with. And he said, they were going away for 5 days, so I wouldn't be able to contact him. And I've lived down in Oxford, well, South Northamptonshire for the last 23 years. And I was staying with my mum in Blythe. And the police just pulled up at the end of the drive one day. My mum says, what are they doing here? I went, I don't know. And so they came in anyway, read as me rights. You're under arrest for reckless manslaughter. We won't cuff you. But when I did get the police station, they tried to put us in with a load of smackheads. And I'm not judgmental, by the way. But just like there was no compassion or empathy about any of it. And when I'd been at the hospital, they had our Joan this, it was probably nearly as big as this, that had all children's paintings on the wall, and he was in a bed over there. And actually on the night time, I must have been there about 7 hours, and the time just flew by, because they came in and said, there's nothing we can do for him. And this big nurse, just to highlight really my dad always tells me that in business, you take the emotion out of it. And that's exactly what all of the hierarchy is like, in the council buildings, anyone you're dealing with, there's no compassion. And that's because, which I'll get to in a little while, because they're acting as dead entities. Corporate fictions take the emotion out of it, so that they're not acting with their humanity. And this big nurse came in, and she just banged her hands. Right, he's got to go to the mortuary now. And I just said, honestly, I know that you probably don't know what to say to me, but I've only heard words like mortuary on CSI. Do you know, it's just like, it's absolutely deafening to hear mortuary about your own children when they're lying there, just awful. And so anyway, through that, about 18 months later, my mum met this lady at the co-op, and she said, I think I've just met your daughter to meet you. And my mum said, all right, and she was telling her about our Joe dying and that. There he is, Charlie, look, fiddling. And I had just started writing a book, and I had 3, and because I want to get into coincidence as well, I'm sure you're all familiar with them. I had 3 yellow folders on the floor. And when I spoke to this lady, she was called Jan. And she said, she said, I really feel like I've met your mum to meet you. And I just want to tell you, you're going to write 3 books, and they'll be a gift to humanity. And she said, I started crying just because I felt so humbled. And I said, I know, but what's it all about? And she said, you've got the ascended masters, Jesus and Mary around you, ascended masters, and they're saying, why shouldn't you have the answers that you seek? So, did you give me them here? So basically, I got 3 messages, and I will, if anyone wants to look at them later on, I just don't know if I've got time to go through them all today. But basically what it says is, so I've always believed in God since I was little. I've never ever believed in religion. I'm diagnosed with ADHD. I think I'm high functioning autistic as well, and I've never conformed to anything. So the conformity of religion never appealed to me. But I'd always felt drawn to Jesus as well, like when I was 5, just wanted to know, like, who was he and what was he doing? So they were saying to me that everyone is equal, that everyone is, these are not the right way. Everyone's equal, everyone is of equality, and no one is considered to be more or less. Everyone is equal, remembering at the different stages of the higher self, the source, the everything and the nothing. In becoming a physical being, you have come from the highest place. In being physical, you can experience all that you know. Life as we know it is a gift from God to God, so that the source may know all that it is. In knowing this, you have acceptance with gratitude. In remembering this, you can gain acceptance with gratitude. We are all God's children. With that, we are all loved unconditionally. There are no right or wrong ways. There is only that which we know at the highest level within ourselves. And so there's 5 pages of this, but this was 19 years ago.
Did this just come through you?
Yeah.
So it was like automatic writing?
It was, yeah. And very humbling when it happened, because you're fully aware that you're the vessel.
Yeah. I know.
And
just like that, isn't it?
well, I just used to cry my eyes out afterwards, because I couldn't believe it, because it's such a absolute known of divinity.
Yeah.
And I feel truly blessed just for that, because I've got no fear of death.
No.
And with the Bible, they've done a right job on all of it, because they've made it religious and they've made it controlling to repel us from it. But actually, when you read it, because on the bottom of that bit that I was reading you, it says there are only 2 definites, the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end. And my mum's friend was the Jehovah's Witness. She had been for years, and I've talked her out of it now. But
I've got a friend who's a Jehovah's Witness, and I am fucking tired.
Oh, wait, do you know what it was? She was it was this one day, she was really poorly, and she was saying, he told you, I'm meant to be at the meeting tonight, and if I don't go, they might shun us when I go there. I says, why do you even listen to them? I says, just imagine you're in the desert, you rock up I says, Jesus is there, and he goes, where's that Jacqueline? What? She can't be bothered to rock up on a Thursday. Well, she didn't even bother coming here again. And I says, would he be? I says, can you imagine him saying that? She went, no. I says, well then, who are these telling you? I says, if you'd gone to sit with him and he's all talking, he says, where's Jacqueline? Is she all right? Do you think we should have a walk over her house and see what she's doing, see if she needs anything? It's so logical when you talk about it compared to what they've been telling us. And when I was actually channeling scripture before I realised it was in the Bible. And I got to
What accurately can I ask? I was paraphrasing you sort of thing.
Oh, well, it was only that one that was word for word.
See, we got one word for word.
From Revelations. Yeah. So, but in hindsight, well, you would really like this.
I know something that came through me about religion was, I can't remember the words around it. It couldn't soon, I've got that much of it.
Yeah.
And it was a scroll for control. And I was rewriting about the Bible.
Yeah.
I don't know, it just came through that it was a scroll for control.
Yeah.
Like, that's it, you know what I mean? This is the way it is, this is God's way. It's like, well, is it?
Well, it's actually.
You know what I'm saying?
But they think that what religion is the cage they've created. Is the cage they've created for it, because when you read it, it's a book on natural law, and it's a book on self-mastery, and the natural law is spirituality. So what is spiritual?
Special guest.
Hiya. Is hiya. Yes, Phil, hello. Do you know what? Hello.
Sorry.
Are you all right? Nice to see you. I heard you come on the wrong day. I see you put it in the group. You lost my train of thought. Yeah. So in this channeling, it says each of us are individuations of the all. So from a quantum physics level, everything is protons and neutrons, and there is no separation between any of them. So it's just one pool of collective consciousness. And it's that one pool of collective consciousness that is the creator, the animator of all things. So every living being, what animates you is your stream of source consciousness. And that stream of source consciousness is your spirit. So to be spiritual is just to follow your inherent knowing of what you know is right for you. When you have the feelings of, oh, I don't really think I should be going there today, and then somebody makes you feel guilty about it, so you go anyway. But really, that's not you being true to you, and that's your divine guidance. That's how, I don't want to jump right ahead here, but that's how you maximize your true potential on the earth, and that's your part of the divine plan. So the way they've designed the system is to make sure that you don't listen to your own inner guidance. So what they've done is, if you look at corporations and corporate policies, you might be at work and you might think, yeah, I don't think that's right, but I'll do it anyway because I don't want to cause any trouble and I need my money at the end of the week and I've got to pay my bills. And that is intentional. That's to turn you away from your humanity and you becoming your true self. So it was what it says in here was what led all my other lines of thinking. It says it's whether you believe this or not. And because we've got free will, you can believe or not. But when you follow your inner guidance, that's how you become all that you are and can be. So for you to become the very best version of yourself, all you need to do is what you know is right. And the Bible says, turn away from the world, pay the system no mind, only listen to what you know is right. Everyone should be literally minding their own business. If you know because if you're minding your own business, then, and you know that the word within you is what's right for you, then that rules out judgment straight away, because who are you to say what anybody else should be doing? You should only be focused on where you're going, elevating your frequency, making your life the best possible life you can have. You fill your own cup, and like tarot cards, and they have the cups. And if you think of energy like that, when you're constantly giving to people and it's not being recompensed, you're emptying your own cup and you're getting tired and you feel drained and you get irritable and you're not aware of what's happening to you. I never was. I used to just endlessly give. But you can, for the harmonics of the planet to be in balance, we need to first be filling our own cups. And what use are us to others if our cup is empty? So it's not being selfish, you're being selfless by looking after yourself first.
Hallelujah to that, because I swear down I've been trying to say this to everybody I've met all my fucking life. You're selfish, you. I'm like, yeah, I'm fucking selfish. I said, because what fucking use am I going to be to you if I can't handle myself?
Yeah.
I do have to look after myself. I've got to keep myself right, and then I'll be able to look after you because I'll have the energy to spare.
Yeah.
Because what it was with me, you see, my mum was disabled, my daughter had cerebral palsy, me and her mother were on heroin. Everything was fucked up, you know what I mean? And it was like I was trying to run around helping everybody, and guess what? I collapsed. Do you know what I mean?
Why, fair play, because my mate just come out of rehab last Christmas and got in with like staunch Christians, and me and him. Well, like, because he's what they tell you in the rehab is everyone's a sinner, and that's all they're going about. These are all sinners. And I went, well, I says, well, Jesus comes from a loving place. So if I love someone, I don't want to tell them how shit they are all the time. Do you?
That's right.
You don't know, do you?
No.
Like, it's about, if you love someone, you want to lift their spirit, you don't want to bring them down. And we're fully aware that we're energetic beings because we're using the language all the time. Birds of a feather flock together. Well, why do they? Because like frequencies attract like frequencies. Or when we say, oh, I feel really down today. Well, what feels down about you? Your vibe, your vibration, your frequency that you're resonating at is low because of whatever you've been focusing on, because what you feed grows. So you're fully in control of how you feel every day by what you focus and give your energy to. So with this, with the the COVID carry on. The media means Medea, it's goddess of illusion. And I'm a quantum healing hypnotherapist. And the 4 states of brain frequency are beta, alpha, theta, and delta. And the television is being streamed in the highest state of trance. So they're putting people, susceptible minds, in states of hypnosis. And the way the laws of the cosmos work is that what you it tells you in the Bible, what you believe you receive. So when they repeat, it then becomes part of the cognition, which then becomes part of the core belief system, and then they manifest that in their reality because their symptoms are potentially psychosomatic over anything else. So then I started to look at when I was falsely accused and realised I was no innocent until proven guilty. I just couldn't believe it. And I'd been so invested in the law. I'd always been passionate about the law. And now I think, really, was I passionate about the law? I always just had a just heart. And known what was right and didn't like to see wrongdoings and other people being harmed. And so I wanted to know what the very foundation of the law was. What is this system built on? And how did we ever get here? So I started researching, and this has got nothing to do with the Bible. This is independent of the Bible. The foundation, have I actually got these in it? No, we haven't put them in, never mind. The foundation of the law is we are flesh and blood human beings governed by our own conscience without causing loss harm. So we're a self-governed species. And a man's day of labour is fair exchange for a wage and must not be taxed. Must not be taxed, because taxing is profiteering from the life force. So your life force solely belongs to you. You go to work and you 100% give your life force for them 40 hours a week. You should be fully recompensed for that. What gives them the right to literally take 20 or 40% of your life force? Because that's what they're doing. And they're shortening people's lifespans by doing that. And it's not a just system, because they're not asking you to give a contribution to society. They're saying, you give us this, I will extort it from you, which is criminal in itself. So, what's the other one? And a flesh and blood human being with a living soul cannot be bound in a contract, because a contract is restricting your free will. So the 3 basic laws of the land protect our natural state as a species and maintain our freedom. So what they did was they brought the birth certificate in 1913, which creates a corporation in your birth name, a dead entity, corpse, which allows you to then litigate with other corporations. So as a living man or woman, you can't be bound in a contract. They know that. All right, so yeah, so because you can't be bound in a contract and they respect the esoteric principles, the laws of the cosmos, they want you to trap yourself by your own free will. So if you look on your birth certificate as well, it clearly states across the front, a birth certificate is not a form of identity, in plain sight. And I probably didn't notice that till I was 40, I'm 45. So it's all there to see, and we just kind of see the wood for the trees, literally, which again refers to the Bible. I once was blind, but now I see. He's not talking about physical sight. He's talking about the lifting of the veil. You're raising your self-awareness and expanding your field of awareness. I see what was, right in front of all of our eyes, and we didn't see it. And where there's a certificate, there's a trust. So your birth certificate is a trust fund, which you are the beneficiary of. But again, everything is introverted. So in the courts, The judge has made himself the executor of your trust fund, and you are the, how's he done it? He's made himself the executor, there's a beneficiary, and what's the other word? That's the one. Thank you very much. So basically, they've made themselves the executor and beneficiary, and you turn up as the trustee of your own funding. Yeah, absolutely. And they're using that money. So they're getting us to pay a bit. So we're literally paying bills 4 times over because they're already taking it from the trust. It's already paid for, yeah.
So I'm just wondering, like, because it's Regis, it's registration.
Regina,
this root of that term. I'm sorry if I'm distracted.
Oh no, I was just going to get into that, Dawn. So carry on.
It's just that I got down into the common law, sort of my own understanding of it, down to the point of like Sir Thomas More and around King Henry VIII, and when he abdicated and stuff like that. And apparently, we're all actually the number actually goes. We're chattels of the Vatican. I mean, is that's where I got lost.
Right. Well, I've just said.
I'm not sure about that.
Yeah. I've just said this to someone because I'm in a law group, and this bloke's made a video saying, "Oh, you can use your Vatican. You get like a separate certificate from the Vatican."
That's why I get lost.
And I said, so to simplify it, right? You're a man. This lady's a woman. That's it.
Yeah.
Anything with the title Mr., Mrs., Miss, that's the dead entity, the legal fiction. Baron, Queen, Counsellor, boyfriend, girlfriend, parent, anything other than you're a man and a woman is the legal fiction, and that's what's contractually binding. That's where they're tricking you. So come to the Bible talks about Babylon and the fall of Babylon. They've bastardized our entire language. So when you speak about the Constitution and the common law is common, mono, singularity. So you can have 10 groups of common law as long as they're all adherent to the same principles within that group. But the natural law, without any of that, supersedes the Constitution, because again, the Constitution is to the barons a title, a legal fiction, another jurisdiction. So even though today we can use the constitutional laws in our favour, there's I think it's called a law deal. You can even get the true contract by a house. So you don't have you're not registered, when you register at the land registry. So you don't even have your title rights for your own building because the land.
Mortgage, if you're not.
Well, mortgage is death pledge, mortuary. There's that.
Our forefathers, 5 generations ago.
Yeah, I know. And even with the mortgage, they're making you pay 4 or 5 times the amount. It's just.
You've already lent it from your own account.
Well, they got the money from your trust fund by your signature that you set the mortgage up with. The bank is only the middleman to your funds.
5 signatures for a contract to be lawful and binding, I know that.
Right, okay then, I'm just wondering, because again, another element that I get a little bit confused with is what does a principal mean? Because I know that you're the principal, your signature, your wet man, when they send you out a letter in all block capitals, what is it, capitalist diminutive maximus or whatever?
Well, capital is decapitated, so capital is representative of the dead entity. So I'll tell you a few little tricks as well. If you get a parking fine, send it straight back. You've got 72 hours to rebut the contract. You don't have to pay it. They're trying to create, I've done it myself. I've done it with potential 6 points on my licence. I've sent that back, and I've didn't get the fine on my MOT because I didn't create joinder with a police officer, which was really amusing.
Even if it goes over the 72 hours as well.
Sometimes it's all right. Well, it's 72 hours. It's guaranteed. I did RTS the 6 points. I was in Wales and it was at 70 miles an hour and changed it to a 30. And I got the letter, and so anything that's in capital letters is not you, the living man or woman. That's your corporate fiction. So when they say, you're not telling a lie. When RTS, addressee not known. I don't know them, they're not me.
I have no contact with PO Box 154.
And even that goes as far to, if you get a summons for court, RTS said it's not to you, If you want to avoid their jurisdiction, if you can, you can still win in the maritime courts, but to save yourself the hassle, you just RTS stuff.
I'm just wondering, because this is a process I've never done, the RTS, because I just fucking ignore them.
Well, if you
know what I mean? Because I'm like, hold on a minute, who are you sending me this? That
you can, but your silence.
It's worked with quite a few different entities, legal entities, that has worked.
Sometimes.
Not student loans and stuff like that. Just fucking.
Well, because
I said notice on them and then.
Right. I was going to say, don't just ignore it.
I'm enjoying doing it.
Because your silence is acquiescence. Yeah.
So is that right or not?
Which bit?
The bit about I'm encouraging them by acknowledging them. Am I wrong on that one? I don't know.
Well, the Bible says don't speak to the dead. All corporate entities are dead entities.
Yeah, right.
Don't acknowledge the dead.
Okay.
So, you would just RTS them things. You're not in.
Ignore because you are acquiescent. It's like when you show vote.
Yes.
I voted once.
I'll never have either, darling.
But it's like acquiescent, isn't it?
Yes, and it's the same, this Coronavirus Act. So acts and statutes only become law with the consent of the governed or the consent of the people. So because we are not rebutting the offer of a contract and saying, no, we don't want to live like this, your silence is seen as acquiescence. But of course, most people are not aware of it, so they don't know to rebut what they're saying. But acts are only that, acting. They're acting as. And fundamentally, as living men and sovereign, a sovereign men and women, which just means to be governed by your inner known, which is accepted as God's word within, because the laws accept that there's a creator, because of cause and effect, creation, there must be a creator. We live in a dualistic realm, up, down, left, right, wrong. Makes sense. And also for people who don't believe, where do you think that comes from? Why do you think you just know sometimes I know not to go there? Why are your instincts telling you that?
It's good feeling, isn't it?
Yeah?
But you've got the UCC law and stuff like that, it's just the colour law.
Yes.
North America, but I know it's to do with admiralty maritime. And you only need to pay £1 to create joinder and get yourself into a contract.
Yeah.
You think, I'll just pay that.
Well, that's why the bailiffs do that, isn't it? Just pay £1. You just have to pay
If you can
£1.
get a bailiff stupid enough to say he'll come back tomorrow, you're laughing. Because tomorrow never comes, does it?
I've lost my train of thought again. No, it's not you, it's my ADHD. I saw with the joinder, so I'll tell you what happened with my MOT. I was coming out of Daventry after a truth meeting, and I don't drink. And I'd had half a lager shandy, so I was feeling a bit brave on the way home. And I had me little in, and I got lost, right? And I was meandering along, and I thought, I says to the Ben, I could get stopped off the police for this, And no sooner had I got the words out my mouth, he put the siren on. So I pulled up and I thought, where they just do the blip, so it gives you a fright. And I thought, he's only done that to intimidate me. I says, wait there, son. So I got out the car and I says, what have you stopped us for? And he went, when did you last have your MOT done? I went, I don't know, because you don't get the reminders. He says, well, your car's not fit for the road. I says, how do you know it's not fit for the road? I says, if my car flies through the MOT, does that mean your fine doesn't count? He went, get in your car. I says, why do I need to get in my car? He said, well, we're in the middle of the road. I says, right, then, but if I get in my car, my son's autistic, so use your polite manners. And I sat there and he started asking us questions, and I had just watched this video by this man. I put them in Guardian's resources. The man who does the sovereign talks, and he was saying, if you ask more questions, you move the authority from them to you. And I'd never tried it before, so I just started waffling on. And I was saying, it's nothing personal or anything, but you think it's right what Boris is doing. I says, guidelines and advice are not laws. I said, and you're helping instill a dictatorship, and the people of this nation rely on the police to protect them. And he was saying, can I have your email address? I said, no. And he said, can you just verify your address? I said, no. I says, I know the law. I don't need to give you my details. I says, if there is no victim, there is no crime. And if there is no crime, there is no fine. And I said, you can fill in all you want, and I've got the perfect piece of paper at home to sort that out when I get home. I said, he says, can you validate your address? I said, no, you've just scanned me registration on the EMPR. If you want to send me anything, send it to there. And to be honest, I couldn't believe I was actually just keep saying no to the copper. Because when COVID started and they were putting all the frightening stuff on the media about the way the police were going on and that, well, that's the Ben who came in before he's mine. And my worst fear was having Isaiah being separated from me. He's ADHD, autistic. He's had a right nightmare in the schools, and I will do another talk on that at one time. Using physical restraint as a first resort to 6-year-olds, absolutely terrorising them. He had PTSD for 7 years. When I took him out of school, if anyone touched him, he went straight into paralysis. And so it was a sort of giant leap for us, because I'd been worried that if I'd gone out during the restrictions that they might try and take the bairn away from us, and I didn't know the right things to say. And so anyway, he said something, and I said, oh, do you know what? I think I might like to exercise my right to remain silent. He says, well, you're not under arrest. I said, I know I'm not, but I've still got the right to remain silent. And so he went on anyway, wanted us to sign it and that, and I just said no. And so I didn't give him anything. And the asking thing, asking as king. So you are taking sovereign authority when you ask them the questions, and you can ask them wherever they like, and then you make them answerable to you, which is what they're trying to do all the time.
As king.
Yeah,
As a king.
yeah,
I'll take
sovereign.
sovereignty.
Well, you can see how it's all male oriented, because I was having a bit of a word with God the other day about what's this with the kingdom. Really, it should be the king and queendom. It's masculine and feminine energy, not just the kingdom. But obviously that's who've had the hand in the Bible and removed the 66 books they didn't want me to see. So, where am I up to, Phil?
About the copper asking.
Oh, yeah. So, by the end of it, I says to him, like I said, no hard feelings or anything. Shall we shake hands? And he went, no, I don't want to shake your hand because of Corona. I went, all right. I said, and I stuck my elbow out the window and I went, we bump elbows then. And he bumped me elbow. So it's like, right, so you're all right breaching the 6 foot, but you don't want to touch my hand. And I says to him, I says, anyway, can you give me a bit of an escort? Because I don't know where I am, I'm lost. And he tried to get us in the joinder again. He said, oh, what's your postcode? I said, OX17. And he looked down and then he went, and? I said, no, I just need the general direction. So he showed us how to get out, and then that was it. I didn't even get the MOT fine. 2 months later, they sent us a letter to the house, and it says, in red, open immediately. You must open this immediately. And I thought, well, you've got no jurisdiction over me. So who they tell? But the amount of times you might open a letter because it says you must open it. Why, who are they to tell you?
Doesn't doesn't say now, does it? If you
No.
vote against it.
And I cannot remember what it is to tell you, but even having the window on there is fraudulent.
That's the key there. Your name and address is on letter inside, isn't it?
Yeah?
Isn't on the end.
How does that work? I don't understand that. How does that work?
Frank, literally having your eyes out, mate.
No, but like, what's it?
Behind the window, it's on the letter. It has to be on the envelope with like £1 stamp and not Frank mark.
What to be like?
With wet ink. Aye.
Are you talking postal jurisdiction?
I'm talking common law, what I've
Yeah,
since
yeah.
last summer jurisdiction. I mean, the courts don't want to know us, the police don't want to know us. They was filming when him in the white shirt said he was better than us at Tayside.
Oh, yeah.
But no, that wasn't magistrates, it was justice, as in justice, you know.
Right.
And he said, go on the steps and go on the flap it on the top of what they were on the steps. But Chase really recording that for them, no matter. Okay, so-
Didn't we?
yeah, we ran away.
So what they did was, anyway, after that they sent 2 letters of conditional acceptance, so they were trying to get us in contract again. And honestly, I was like on a wing and a prayer, because I'd never done it before. I was thinking, oh, what's going to happen with this? But I just sent it back, and then 2 months later they sent another one, and I was thinking, God, are the police going to come at the door? And I sent it back, and I've never heard anything about it. And when I got the potential 6 points, I sent that back RTS. I didn't even get a follow-up letter with that. So
I do, with everything.
What does that mean?
Even after the.
return
72
to
hours.
sender. Just return to sender. And you don't write addressee unknown.
Addressing recognised passport.
Aye. You don't write addressee unknown.
Red pen across the window.
Hang on. Oh, there you are, look.
Addressing.
I'm behind on my own.
That's all. Even outside 72 hours.
I mean, we can move in and out. So it's noisy in the other room, so just let Victoria down and talk.
I know, I'm behind on my own. The slides, look. Right, so that's a good one. So, when you...
So what happened after they came to arrest you at your mum's house? I'm like really interested.
They came to arrest us. They wanted to put us in a cell, and my dad got a top solicitor, and I was out of there without being detained. But in the interview, she was saying things like, "You just let Joe slip back under the water and drown, didn't you?" I'm actually going to ask for them tapes, you know. It's absolutely disgusting. And the liaison officer told us that, you know, how they decided whether I was arrested or not. Had a vote on it in the office.
But that's off ice, that's not a level.
Well, you know, why none of it is it? That's what I was pissed off about in the first place.
Did it go any further than that? Or did you just say?
No, it was dropped. It was dropped. But the fact that it didn't go any further still didn't stop it causing any less damage to me. And 18 months later, when we had the inquest, even the Ben was riddled with meningitis. And instead of using the term, they put bacterial infection, and they said he had symptoms of someone who'd gone without oxygen underwater, right? But if Joe had have drowned, I'd have been done for reckless manslaughter. So, and when I spoke to me, and which is a 15-year sentence, when I spoke to the liaison officer, he said, "I just need to tell you, no water was found in Joe's lungs." So he was already dead before he hit the water, but the media still happily put toddler 3 left to drown, were mine and my daughter's name and her address. And I didn't have any repercussions from that other than the inherent ones of, I absolutely adore my kids. There's nothing I wouldn't do for them, you know what I mean? And they printed a retraction, but it was like an inch square in the back.
On the back page.
Aye.
Aye.
And it was 18 months after. I mean, our Amy even went to live with my mum for 9 months because we're worried about her being, and that's another thing as well, worried about her being at school and that and hearing about it. But when Joe died, I was homeless, living in a hostel, and I got my first council house there 9 months after that. And I was taking our Amy to school and I couldn't get her there before 9:30. I was hallucinating at night and paralysed in my bed and stuff like that. And I was crying my eyes out. My dad was saying, please don't go on antidepressants. I like a brain biopsy. And I was saying, Dad, if the things that were happening to you were happening to me, you wouldn't mind if your brain was biopsied. It's as simple as. So I was on diazepam and stuff like that, but anxiety attacks and all sorts, just so I could function properly. And I couldn't get to school before 9:30. It was a 5-mile drive, but I'd always be there for 9:30. And I used to go in every day and apologise to the headmistress. I'm sorry, I don't know what else to do. I'm just not waking up. And they tried to do us for truancy, even though the Ben was in school every day, and said that before she was missing 2 ticks in the morning that were unauthorised absences. Yeah, and they were adding them up to full days. So when I went to court, and actually I didn't know this, because if you do go to court, you should never make a plea anyway, because that's you making the contract. But I just instinctively didn't, because my moral compass wouldn't let us. I thought, how can I be guilty of anything just because I can't get my daughter to school because my son's dead? Like, and I said that to the judge. He said, what do you plead? I said, neither. So I had to pay the £88 court fines for that.
So you ended the dock.
Well, I didn't know this then, did I?
And that changed the
Criminal court.
Well, you would think it would be civil, wouldn't you?
Civil, I think.
I think it was magistrates, you know.
Right. So that's criminal then.
No, same thing in the field, you tell them.
Unless there's some areas of the magistrates where it is civil, or like for not paying maintenance.
It must have been magistrates, because the only one below that's family court. In family court, they don't even stick to their own fictions. They haven't even got a clock in there. Absolutely scandalous. That's like a random bloke off the street.
No smoke without fire.
Just shocking. But what I wanted to get to was the language. There's that Regina you were talking about, look. Registers Regina, property of the Crown. Anything you register, you're giving up your title rights of. So when you register your car to the DVLA, you're giving them authority over your property. So in legalese, so for example, when the police stop you and they say, are you the driver of this vehicle? Driver and vehicle are legalese, which are the terms of commerce. So they're asking you, are you operating in commerce, which gives them jurisdiction over you. But if you said, I'm a living woman travelling in my conveyance, then there's no contract.
And they can't take
No.
horse and clock and then every vehicle horsepower.
So does that stop them taking your car off you as well?
Well, what stops them taking a car off you is if where it says registered keeper.
You'll go off road.
Well, if you just write, I put in mine sovereign trust. So if they come to the house, it's nothing to do with you. It belongs to the trust. It's not your legal fiction. They can't create joinder with the trust. So even if the bailiffs wanted to come and take your car, it's not anything to do with in association to you. They can't touch it. So that's.
So you put your vehicles in the trust then?
Well, I haven't actually put them in the trust. I've just made out to have.
I know, yeah. I used to have in my mind in Fred Bloggs' name for years until all this APR and everything was all tied in. And then now I'm becoming aware of all this now. If you just have, say, anything trust, say,
Yeah.
is because it's a trust, does that take you out of the frame.
I'd have to look into this.
Yeah.
I don't want to give misinformation out.
Of course.
But I know that if you put stuff in a trust, you should put, like the power of three, you should put a trust in a trust in a trust, and that makes it practically impossible for anyone to get you.
Right.
Would that be like a binding contract?
Yes. So it's like a Russian doll, isn't it? If you've got it inside 3 casings, it's a lot harder to get to than just removing the one. And I just found out what I was saying before about the registered, the land registry. You can get, and it's called a law deal, and that makes you the true owner of all your property. I'll find it and put it in the pubs group, so you can have a look. And that's a law from 1547.
What's that called?
A law deal.
Law deal.
A law deal.
Yeah. Law deal.
You've got the same accent as me. I'll get this down there. I
Law deal.
O double L
I
a law deal.
law deal.
DIAL.
Right.
And that's from 1547. But my brother will say to me, I just want to hear about laws that are hundreds of years old.
Right now.
But what he doesn't get is they all apply now. Unless they've been individually repealed, they still stand.
Victoria, is there a convenient point you could have a 10-minute break?
Yeah, whenever you like.
When
I'll just do this then.
Yeah, okay.
On the son and daughter. I'm going to get into it when I get to that bit though. Right, so basically what I wanted you to know was, if you say, I'll give an example. My friend was in court with his ex-missus who wants the daughter to be jabbed and tested. And I was meant to be in court with him, and for some reason he thought it was wrapped up because we'd put some fairly tight notices in, which the judge completely disregarded when he was in there. But the point of it is, the child is property of the state, and signature is legalese. So when social services come to take the child, what they're coming for is the birth certificate, and people are handing their children over of their own consent. But actually, they don't have any contract to your son or daughter, only to the child, to the corporate fiction, which is bound to the Crown.
So what you said to them is, when I come to your house, are you operating as a public enforcement agent for the government in your official role today to say yes? Will you stop referring to my sons, daughters, princes or princesses as kids or my children?
Yeah.
And will you refer to them as my sons, daughters, princes and princesses? Yes. So you understand? Yes. All right. Do you want to have a look about the house? You say that order, that says 30 grand for him and then 10,000.
Right, that's the same as the bailiffs. I had a 5 grand thing on my door for, after you've removed the implied right of access. And I actually said the wrong thing in your video. I said, lock the back door and come out the front door. What I meant was lock the front door, come out the back door, and then get a photograph of them with the, because you can remove your implied right of access, then you can put a notice for your fee schedule on the door. So then if they've breached the implied right of access, it's a 5 grand fine. And if you come out your back door and you've locked your front door so they can't get in, you take a photograph of them. Just ask them, they're thick, aren't they? Take a photograph of them in front of there. You take that evidence to court with your notice and you can get the 5 grand off them for trespass. So
you have to have
I just not think
on your
we
door.
on the back and said we leave it.
You have to have that on your wall.
on your door or your gate, or yeah.
But just no implied right of access.
Right, so basically when there's a gate there, because it opens and it
It's
looks
just like an open drive.
exactly, so that implies
Yes,
a right of access.
right.
Implies,
So I need to build a gate.
you do.
Right.
Or you just need to write to them and tell them, yeah,
No implied right of
where you
access.
just take it off them, you send them an email and say, we've removed the implied right of access.
Yeah.
So you don't need your gate on, you just need to have evidence that you've made them aware that there is no implied right of access there.
You said that could go to the council.
Well, anyone who you think might come round,
Right.
yeah.
Okay, can we just take a break? Can we just take a little 10-minute break there? I just want to ask people, Victoria's come all the way from Northampton. We'd like to cover her travel costs and contribution to the Porky Pint as well. There's I'm going to put this here. So we were just asking for a voluntary contribution, like £5. So before we go, but we'll take a break then. Now, so just fill up with tea or whatever. We've got toilets and everything.
Can you do me a favour? Can you get me the slides up on there? Because then I'll know where I'm meant to be. Because when I'm looking this way, I keep forgetting about doing them, and I've talked past 3 of them.
Yeah, okay. Well, I'll just follow wherever you go, right? Because no, that's independent of this one. Right.
Yeah, but I just want to. I know that's fine. It's just I want to have a little scan and see where I'm going.
All right. Can you see where you're going?
Yeah, that's fine.
I mean, just
Because I'll get the slides to prompt where what I'm talking about.
yeah.
Right, because I haven't get any yet. Oh, these are good slides as well. And then I'll just stick to the slides.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Good, then I can get on integrity and that. Oh, good, I'm nearly at the natural law anyway. So I'm going to wrap this up.
Yeah. Okay. So you know where you're carry on from now then.
Yeah. It doesn't matter that they're not connected. It's just so I can see where I'm going.
Yeah. Can I get you the drink?
No, I've got loads in there. I'll be having to take one on the walk, but I was just thinking I've seen them put nails in the Coke before. So I know there's something in it that whatever it is will kill the bacteria in my stomach, even though it's really not good for you. And I do feel better.
Yeah.
So whatever's in there, so good.
Yeah. So you got them in the right order then. It's a pity that we're not like pictures here.
Well, if I do another one, I can spend. It was just everything was getting done. This was the first time it's ever been done, isn't it? But I can elaborate on it.
Yeah. Just go to wherever you want, and then I'll
Because I've gone in the wrong order. It's all right. I'm getting in the right direction anyway. I just need to wrap these 3 up. But people can have copies of the slides, can they?
Sorry?
People can have copies of the slides.
Well, you know what I might just do? I'm recording it live anyway, but I think I'll edit it again, and then I'll put the right slide in the right place.
Right.
So I'll try and find it if I can there. It's the video I'm more interested in.
Okay. No, lovely, honestly. Yeah, because I wouldn't even know what happened. I never ever drink Coke ever, and because I know rotten meals and that, I thought, oh well, it'll kill whatever's making me sick.
It's good for cleaning gun parts, you know.
I can imagine. Wait, it strips pans as well. I know.
I used to work down Daventry.
Oh, did you?
You know, Durft at Junction 9.
Well, do you know
Quick.
the Lion in Daventry, the pub?
I know quite a few. I can't remember.
Well, there's a truth. There's been actually, when lockdown was on, we were all meeting in a bus stop. But since it's been open, we've been in the pub, and it's 40 minutes from me. Like, we go there every Tuesday. And it was only like 6 at first in the bus stop, but there's like 60 people there now. And there's some Guardian stuff going on down that way.
Is it still active in the Guardian? Because we've been out of it aware.
Well, I'm not. It didn't align. Integrity is really important to everyone, and as soon as things don't align with my integrity, I'm off. And I say I'm a sovereign woman under God, and to be sovereign, you have to stand in integrity. And by having the highest vibration, that means we're protected from everything, because like frequencies attract like frequencies.
Do you know what? I think that's the way the world is headed, and this is just the staging ground for us to realise that.
Oh, absolutely. We are. I don't know whether I should read these out or not because I haven't got time, but people can get access to them. It tells the second channeling I got that actually said, well, paths are so important. We must each follow our paths to save humanity, and that we've incarnated in these times to be here right now to experience does God really exist, and that
I think this is a thing that's going to prove its existence. Yes. Because if it wasn't for this, people wouldn't give a crap.
Yeah.
You know, people are starting to reevaluate their life and existence and see the nature of the world for what it is as a result of what's going on. And if they're not, well, these people are.
It's one of the most exciting times to be alive, but yet to witness our own evolution and ascension.
In a sense, I'm quite thankful because without this.
So man, of course man. Yeah. But you know what I think? I've been saying to spirit because I've been in and out with relapses of depression for years, and I was saying to spirit, will you please help me stand up? Just help me get up. Help me get up on my feet.
I need to read that bit now. It fell down.
And I thought, just typical, it would take the fucking New World Order to get us on my feet.
Yeah, right.
Well, but obviously, all needs a rocket under our arses. Oh, totally. No, I'm all right, darling. Yeah, thank you.
No, well, I'll be down in a second.
Yes, it's lovely to see you.
Last time was on Pint as well.
It was, And then I've spoke to you about when you got that woman out with that hotel and that.
Yeah. Well, that's why I became disillusioned with Guardians. There's 3 of us here.
Oh, that's the first page I was looking for. Aye.
That's why it fell out.
Well, because my first names are all my Christ names, and my second name is a serpent name. And the Bible says, I really just wanted to talk about the Bible and translate it in the correct way. But Chris thought that God repels people in the Bible. But it's just, that's what they want. They don't want, it's telling you how to be completely free. Jesus says, drop all weights, release all your burdens, become light on the earth, release what doesn't serve your highest good, elevate your own frequency, become free. It's the constructs of the reality that are the prisons of the mind.
Yeah. Oh, I'm so grateful I came tonight listening to you. Quite possibly, I'm quite intrigued now, so I'm like, quite intrigued, quite.
The thing is, I can't say
Right, hey, potentially I can. I'll get in touch with her and see. Possibly, but off the top of my head, I can't think. Yeah. I'll get in touch with her and see. Can I ask you a question? I live in Blythe, and you mentioned Blythe. Is that where
I
your
went to
mum's
school
from?
there.
Yeah.
Tyndale High.
Is that up near Cookham Way? Is it?
Aye, but I don't know if it's still there. No.
There's definitely
My dad
still
lives
there.
on
Yeah.
South Beach.
Alright, I live not far from there.
Both my brothers, both my brothers. My dad and my brother live on South Beach, and my mum lives. She's building a house next to the Swan. Is it in the Bedlington and Choppington boundary?
Oh yeah, I know where that is. Yeah.
She lives there. But do you know, I've got 3 messages, but this is the only one I'm going to read out because when Joe first died, that's why I made it relevant and I asked her for help. And I wrote poems afterwards saying, please don't forsake my son. I just wanted him to be remembered. And so that's the rest of that if you want to have a look.
Yeah. I'll have to put my glasses on.
That's the first page that you read.
Is that the one I read?
Aye.
And this is all. Right. Wow. Before I read this, I'm going to have to say this because it was November the 3rd, 2019. I had a meal with my parents, and it just came out of nowhere, for about 5 hours. In fact, it was about 5 hours, only because the heads exploded and they said they couldn't cope anymore. But I just come out with so much stuff about, and I don't even know where this is coming from, to be quite honest. Looking back now, I think I got channeled personally.
If you look, this is what I'm telling people. Is it this one? That's the last page. Yeah.
Right, that makes perfect sense.
We're all channels of God. We're all channels of the Christ light. Hello, darling. And we're all channels of the Holy Spirit. I'm not sure. Is it in this one? I've got 3 of them, so I get confused with what's in where. But
I'm going to have to read through them. Well, do you know what my parents didn't have an option. My whole family was there, and stuff was spilling out of me. And I said, listen, I don't know why, but the whole world's going to go through a massive revolutionary change. There's going to be so many things happening that you just not believe it. You've got to, and this is all God's judgment. And all this.
But we're all evolving at different stages as well.
Anyway, they thought it was nuts called the.
My dad said to me the other day, I'm just trying to help you keep a grip on the thread of reality. I say I'm fully grounded in the reality.
It's almost hilarious, isn't it? But I totally get it from other people's perspectives. I'll let this woman speak, and I'll read the notes.
Okay.
I'm going to have to leave at 8:30, which I'm gutted about because I want to listen to you. I can listen to you at 8, I know. So I'm good. Steve's going to stay, but I've got to get over it. So
What I need to tell you then from here is that Jesus asked us that we're all standing in integrity, words, thoughts, and deeds alike. So that you know what is right for you, you say what's right for you, no matter if you're worried about what someone else said, because that's how you can develop your own courage, right? Because we develop courage by doing things even though we've been nervous about doing. And when you say what you mean and mean what you say and you follow through with it, that's how you're a self-reliant son of God. And when you start with integrity, that is upright. And that's how you're righteous upon the
I feel
earth.
like I've been like that for like 2 years. Because I work in the school and I'm just like,
But you know what?
no, I'm not tested. No, I'm not doing that. I'm the only one in the whole school and I'm like, I know I'm not doing it. It's not right for me to do that.
Yeah,
All my children are.
No, I was just about to get to it.
Well, I'll stay for another 20 minutes, but I want to know where.
By law, your body is your property. In fact, are you in the court signing?
I am, yeah, so I just want to get the information.
Because you'll be able to look. She said I haven't finished them, otherwise I'd have put them up, but I will get them done. But on there I've made an exemption from the vaccine, and it's a lawful exemption. It's got the laws of the land on, so the laws of the land on, your body is your property. No man or woman in the land has higher authority over your body than you, and no one has authority to administer your property without rights.
Yeah, I understand that, and I want to go further with it, not just to do with all this stuff, but just other stuff, you know what I mean, like the driving and, you know, having to like stay and get a police incident when you got to you, and it was awful. I just feel like, I mean, Steve understands it a lot more than I do, and I just feel like I want to get
What I was going to get you by the end was that what exactly in the church has higher authority. So anything created by man cannot reign above man as a king, because it would not exist without man's creation. So the human rights act and all that bollocks, they're trying to get us to believe that they give us our rights. But God gives us our rights, and that inherent to believe. So if I say we've got a God-given right to read without restriction, who's going to disagree with us? And if I say we've got a God-given right to move freely upon the earth, use them as discernment, who's going to disagree? These are our rights, inherent ones of what is right, and we see all other jurisdictions. And if we said in the court, that's hands down, God's authority to it's as simple as that.
I know, it is, isn't it? But it's having that, like you said earlier, the courage. And I wouldn't be able to have the courage until I had some understanding about it. Because I was informed about all my life. This situation is like, so all the time, yes, you don't have yeah, you comply or you don't comply. I'm like, I don't, it doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel right. So that's what I'm doing. So I'm looking
But it's chart, everything about it. So if you're inauthentic in that sentence, you understand? So everyone gets straight is when you have violation of
keep saying.
I am, Oh, can you get on here? I'm in them.
It's not just you that's noisy, it's Rob Whiting in the other room as well.
Right.
So, if anyone,
What is it? Aye, the only dictator we've got are the laws of the cosmos. The only dictator we've got is the laws of the cosmos. What frequency that determines the reality that's created. So if we address what frequency, therefore,
I'm all with you on that. Only we get that out.
Hi. Right, I'm going to start naming and shaming people. Yeah. Right, okay, part 2, yeah.
have I just gone backwards? Aye, sorry, I just was working out which way the clicker goes.
What we'll do is we'll have another sort of out maybe an hour or so at the maximum.
Yeah.
And then I know some people are going to leave. Just go, we catch up on the video. And then we catch up at the end. But there's a lot of amazing stuff at Victoria's Hotel. Okay?
Yeah.
Right, let's carry on now.
Can I just, I still don't know, there I am. Right. I just wanted to wrap this bit up. So, the water law, just so you can acknowledge the maritime water law, the banks, the cash flow, the currency, the bridging loans, it's all about water. And again, it's in plain sight, we just haven't been aware of it. So, how I feel. Right, so
On your toes.
the Bible says Jesus walked as a sovereign man. So, and you know, I learned what sovereignty was 19 years ago, and I only clicked on in the last 6 months that that's what they were on about in the Bible. And it all made sense. So Jesus is a sovereign man. He lived by those rules, no contract, governed by his conscience, God's word, and didn't pay tax. And that is to stand in true integrity.
But that doesn't mean necessarily he was a good man.
I was.
He quoted stuff about in church and said, give hour and stuff like that. The are true.
Will they give all
He
that
booked. Why that's why I kicked the tax collector's tables over.
Yes.
So that's a good man. Well, the Bible says
But in their eyes, it would be a bad man.
but the Bible says even the doves come down with claws. The churches don't teach anything the Bible says. It tells you do not conform to the world. Do not follow the laws of man. It tells you exactly what. I don't get us wrong, mind. I don't believe every word they say, because obviously they've had their hand in it and they've took loads of books out and stuff. But there's loads of it that is relevant. Like your first name is your Christ name, and your second name is your is the serpent name. So your second name is the in the Bible, it says, do not let them creep up on you. And surname means to creep up on. That's the legal translation. Right, as living men and women of the land, we have precedence over legal, corporate policy, advice and guidelines. So as living men and women, actually have we got that? I've got a pyramid somewhere. God's at the top, men and women, government, corporate policies, persons.
It's somewhere, if you go through it.
Persons are right at the bottom. So you put yourself at the bottom of the chain by your own consent. No, it's not.
No.
It was.
just thinking about bankers and bankers' power and that, when Jesus kicked the table over, he might have done that, but it was a week later he was crucified, wasn't it, apparently?
Well,
Something like that.
but you know what though, if you...
So the police were waiting for the banks, that's my point.
Yeah,
Which
no,
is
I
what we're doing
know,
now.
I know what you're saying, but I would rather die a free woman than...
I would too, no, I'm not knocking that.
Yeah,
I'm just
no, I
saying,
know.
Isn't it interesting? It's like, it's the bankers that
Yeah,
are
but
managing the police, and then it's like the good sovereign souls that are like getting done by the police. That's
Yeah.
what it really.
Well, it's always been the same, hasn't it?
Yes, yes.
Well, what
yes,
I had said,
absolutely.
just intuitively, what I had said to my mum was, whatever comes to light, don't worry about it. It's always been there. It just hasn't been in my field of awareness. And because the light is entering, the shadow is being revealed, and we can't transcend the shadow until we observe it. We can't address the problems until we can see them. So as men and women, we supersede all jurisdictions. Our rights are not given to us by the Human Rights Act. They don't give us our rights. I see things on Telegram that, they're reviewing the Human Rights Act. That is what I think of that.
Absolutely.
Our rights are inherent to our being. That's why they cannot be taken away. They're God-given, and God's laws are written on our hearts, and they supersede all other jurisdictions. And as an example of so you know what your rights are. So if I said we have a God-given right to breathe without restriction, who would disagree? If I said we have a God-given right to move freely using our discernment, which of our species apart from them, who would disagree?
Maybe Donald Trump at the southern border.
And we have a God-given right to bodily autonomy. And by the law, your body is your property, and no man or woman in the land has higher authority over your body than you. And no one has the authority to administer your property without right. And governments were put in place to protect property. They're not supposed to be anywhere in our business. We were meant to seek them out if we wanted their support. Hence them known as public servants who've gone well past their stations.
The council's there to pay you bills and any bank debts and that you've got people to go.
Well, do you know what I love? I had the bloke out because my boiler wasn't working. And do you know what his title was? The compliance officer. I said, he's all got titles like he's have just stepped out to Terminator. He was only coming to fix the central heating, you know what I mean? We'll send the compliance officer out. But I think you do sometimes need to remind them, like, who are you? You're not above me.
About me, that first bit. Fun, that as in the mental. Because the class of all is retarded.
Well, do you know when you get a solicitor as well? That's you admitting that you're an idiot, and they actually use the term idiot. And solicitors are
It's a ward of a court.
Aye,
And
officer.
what it comes under, it says a ward of a court is a person of an unbound mind, an imbecile, or a child. That's the legal definition. So when you go to a solicitor, a barrister, a lawyer, or anything, you're basically becoming a ward because you're walking in there and going, I've got my own brain, my own life, my own autonomy. But this guy knows all about me.
And if they do anything that's to your detriment as well, there's no liability on their part.
No.
You also take full responsibility for their mistakes.
Yeah.
And I mentioned that at the start. And I was going to show you one of my poems, but then I didn't put it in. But the point was, for what I get to later on, when Joe first died, I wrote, it started off something like, my baby's life was stolen. All he wanted was to play. Who'd known it would have been taken while in the bath that day. But what I asked God not to forsake my son's life. I just didn't want him to be forgotten. I wanted him to be remembered. And so when I started channeling the messages from the collective of divine beings, they said, I haven't got it today, but it says, since I found my son dead and called out to the light flowed through me. And for having shown gratitude for my son's life in the shadow of his death, that's why I was given this gift. And it was, you know, it was things like I just trying to rationalise it, because you've obviously got to think how you're going to try and survive that. What angle can you get on that to feel all right in your own being? And I just thought, we all are going to die at some point and we don't know when. And I'm just so grateful for ever having him. I feel privileged to have had him. Do you know, just to feel his little fingers on the back of my neck, playing with my hair, giving him 5 more minutes in the morning, even when we're late for school. Them kind of things are massive, absolute treasures, yeah. And just to feel his little face on mine are, you know, true gifts. So in the first channeled message, what it talks about is, it says we all have an inner voice. It's whether we choose to listen. It's whether we choose to become all that we are and can be. So in the Bible, it says, the Comforter, which is the Holy Spirit, whom the Father will send in my name, he shall teach you all things. So it also says, I tell this to Christians all the time, they say, do you believe in God? I do, definitely. Do you believe in Christ? Absolutely. I says, can I ask you a question? I say, do you believe that, does the Bible say the kingdom is within? Oh, yes. Why are you looking outside of yourself? Do you know, it does tell you, and so it says the kingdom is within, seek the kingdom first. So it's just seeking your own by, darling. Definitely find us. And so what it's telling you is to seek your own inherent knowing of what is right. Every feeling that you feel, you know, like, I don't want to go there today. I don't want to speak to them. I've had enough of the way they go on. They don't make us feel good about myself. You feel guilty about cutting them off. Why? Jesus says, drop all weights. And when I'd got into spiritual practices, it's release what no longer serves your highest good. So when it says, whom the Father will send in my name, he shall teach you all things. What happens is, when you start to follow what you know is right and getting in tune with your inner voice, you're seeking the kingdom within yourself. And that's what gnosis is, what Gnostic teachings is. It's the inner knowledge. We all have the knowledge of the kingdom and queendom. It's in we all. And you just have to seek it for yourself. And it says, seek the kingdom first. So above everything else, seek what you know is right, because that's God's word. That's what puts you on your highest path. That's how you maximize your true potential on the earth. And the laws of the universe are, like frequencies attract like frequencies. And it's not just the Bible that says it. Rumi says, what you seek seeks you. So if you seek the kingdom first, that's when all good things come to you, because God knows what's on your heart. You don't need to ask. You just need to accept. And when you're true to you, that's when you fall in the space of being open to receiving, where you stop all resistance from other things. You know, like he says, what is it? Give no thought to the morrow, and the morrow will take care of itself. Because we are the creators of our own reality, and what we give attention to, we create more of. That's how we're made in the image of the Creator. So it's your thoughts and feelings. So if you're worrying, you're creating what you don't want. When you're watching all the shite on Telegram, you're feeding the reality they want. That's why they've got the telly. That's why they've got all the distractions. Because when we seek our true selves, that's how we bring heaven to earth. And they didn't want to bring heaven to earth. They want to manifest hell on earth. So when you follow external things, then you're contributing to manifesting hell on earth, which is fundamentally just the collective ego manifest. It's the lack of sense of self. And the kingdom is know thyself. Know who you are. And I just wanted to clarify, well, my mate wanted us to clarify this. So 3D is, I would say, where I would have been before Joe died, where you believe in the constructs, you believe what you've been told, you believe that we are limited, not limitless. And we don't need bars, because the things that they say, the constructs of the mind, are prisons in themselves, and the system's been designed to attack your self-worth from the off. When you go to school, it doesn't matter if you're in the top set. If you're at the bottom of the top set, you're still not good enough. So it doesn't matter where you are, they're instilling low self-esteem. But it's like, if you ask an elephant to swim across the sea, it's going to fail every time. But if you ask if you asked a fish to climb a tree, it would never win. So we need to be pursuing the things we are passionate about. We've all got gifts. We're all gifted. It's just knowing what you're gifted at. And it doesn't matter how menial you think your gift is, because if you imagine a jigsaw, even if it had all this beautiful complex design and this is all the blue sky, if one piece is missing in the blue sky, it's ruined the whole design. So everyone is equally important, no matter what part you play, because it's all contributing to the whole and the greater good in the reality we want to see. So the third dimension is the believing that reality is solid. The fifth dimension is knowing that it's fluid, that it's an aspect of self-awareness where we have the realization or revelation that we are the creators of our own realities with our thoughts and feelings. So what they don't want, obviously, is us to become self-aware, but what they're actually doing is forcing our evolution. Because I've known about this for 18 years and I didn't have anyone to talk to. And since they've done the COVID thing, it's because our survival depends on it. So I don't necessarily believe in evolution in the way Darwin says it, but I have an understanding of it, that we're at the end of an age, and every 26,000 years we'll have an evolutionary jump. So this is the end of the dark ages, and I'm not judgmental to meat eaters. So we eat meat, we wear leather skins as clothes, we have leather as furniture, we've just become much more sophisticated about it. But it's following your inherent knowing of what is right. So I don't eat meat, but if you did, I don't judge, because you're evolving on your path. And I used to eat meat and I didn't know any better. But when you seek the guidance within yourself, you have elevated awareness, you come to more and more truths. And when you're obedient to God, when you're obedient to your true self, then you're blessed with more gifts and you get more known of things. And it's lovely, because I've been doing it more than ever lately, and things just fall into place one after another. When I've left different groups, it's almost like it's been a ladder, and I've just been elevated every time, because you get rewarded for releasing the burdens, the things that don't serve you, because you're elevating your own frequency, which in turn is elevating the planetary frequency. And it's the vibration. So we are all vibrational, as I said earlier. It's the vibration of the planet that creates the reality that we see. So when you think of the word harmony, it means the harmonics are in balance. When we are not in balance with ourselves, which is what they create, we create disharmony, which creates the chaos on the earth. So they are not our dictators. Our only dictators are the laws of the cosmos. And when we have an understanding of them, and we know that our frequency dictates the reality that we see, Spirit was shown us it like a boat. We want to be chucking the baggage off as fast as we can and elevating the frequency so that we can steer the course of humanity in the direction we want. We're in control of the reality we see, not them. That, at a 3D level, that's what they want us to believe. And that's the work the Bible's asking you to do. Become the best version of yourself. Release your burdens. Don't be afraid to let people go, because by letting people go, you're allowing new doorways to enter. Then again, in the saying, you close one door to allow another one to open. And once you start doing it, it's really liberating. Even just finding the strength to tell people no, I don't want to. I don't feel like coming out today, or I don't feel like doing that. I feel a bit tired. I just want to be at home and not feeling guilty about that.
I've got this thing where I forgive the horn honkers. So like you're driving along, somebody behind you's having a bad day, and they're like, and I'm just like, fucking hell, mate. Hope you're all right tomorrow. Do you know what I mean? Because what you've just said there, that piece you've just said there, is absolutely fundamentally true. What you're feeding in is what's going to become.
Well, that's why.
how it works.
Do you know? That's why they call it spelling at school, because they're aware of energy. We're casting spells. That's the power of the word. So when you talk down about yourself, you're bringing that into your reality. Even if you can't see it, we'll walk by faith, not by sight. So when you're bringing something into reality, if you talk about it as if it's already happened, or you feel the gratitude as if it's already happened, you imagine it in your mind's eye, you feel the gratitude as if it already is, and then you allow it to come in. And I could tell you...
Projection type of thing. You know what I mean? Like, the news shows you something that might not even happen, right?
Oh, exactly.
Watch the news, can't say that, mate.
Well, if there's a giant projector above the earth, and they've got everyone watching crap, all them thoughts of crap are going in that projector and getting made into reality. So we need to make sure that we are elevating our frequencies wherever we can, so that we bypass literally all that shite. So in the Bible it tells you, just to validate that we are the creators of our own reality as well. All things whatsoever you shall ask in prayer, believing you shall receive. Prayer, it tells you in the Bible, don't waffle on. Basically, you know, God knows what you want. Just be grateful. That's your prayer. And if you want to see anything, do it in private. You don't need to do it in church. Whatever you hold in your mind, whatever your concerns are, give them to God. Just release your worry, and the universe takes care of it for you. It's whatever you resist persists. And that's why with God, all things are possible, because it's fundamentally, it's telling you, God is your true self. Your inner knowing of what is right in you, maximizing yourself on the earth, is you. Jesus is teaching you how to become light on the earth. Drop all weights, release your baggage. And it validates, you know, knocking it shall be opened unto you. And if you have faith as grain of a mustard seed, if you've got even a tiny bit of faith, it's enough to create miraculous things. And I do want to tell you, because I'm aware of the time, but when before I got pregnant with Isaiah, I just learned about affirmating and manifesting. And I thought, and I'd just had a horrible relationship with someone I'd been best mates with for years. And he'd went and shagged this slag a couple of weeks later. So I was devastated.
Shag this what? Lad?
Slag. And so, but I just really wanted a baby, and I was asking God, I want my son's soul to be reborn in the baby. I want a man who's militarily tidy, because I struggled with depression. I don't mind what race he is. I had like a big intricate list. And because of well, you know, trial and error, you get to see what So because of divine timing, you get things when they're meant to be. Sometimes other things have to fall into place first. Oh, and I'll tell you what to do about your own lives as well. You must know, when you look back over your life, how you thought about something, then it happened. Or asked for that and then it happened. You can actually look back and see where in yourself, know when you had those feelings and it actually came to be. After I'd put these requests in, a couple of months later, I thought, actually, I've never met anyone in the pub before, and I didn't even know that was going to be added in, but it was. So I went to the pub with my friend, and this lad and his mate came, and I'm standing at the bar, and he's going, you're going to have my baby. I was like, yeah. Carried on. He says, you're going to have my baby. I says, yeah, man, you can't just come up to whoever you like in the pub and start telling them they're going to have your baby. And he went, I don't even know why I'm telling you this. He said, I feel like someone's telling us what to say from up there. He said, you're going to have a son. He said, you're going to have my son. It'll be a son reborn, and he'll have an unusual name. and I've never met the bloke before. And I said, like what? And he said, Isaiah. So I showed him my first channeling and that, and he had similar beliefs. So I was seeing him for a bit, got pregnant with Isaiah, didn't really want to be in a relationship because he was a liar. Oh, that was another thing. So when I had like tried to call him into being right, I said all the things I loved about my ex I wanted in. Obviously it was he was a lying, thieving twat because it was all that. I couldn't believe it. I thought, really, is that what I loved about him? I thought I was asking for like the positive attributes. So anyway, when I was 5 months pregnant with Isaiah and he had a scan, said he had fluid on the back of his neck and that his leg was on the wrong way around and that I should think about having him aborted. And here's the system again. I'm absolutely heartbroken thinking I'm going to lose another son. And they're going, can you make sure you go out the back door so you don't upset the other mothers? So I had a amniocentesis and everything was all right. And then when he was born, he had brain on the outside of his head. He had mutated brain. So it was extra and it was attached to his normal brain with a cord. And it was so bizarre because when Joe died, I had to sign a document to say that I released the brain tissue and what did I want to use it for. And when Isaiah was born, it was the same. It was going past the chapel of rest, having to sign a document to say what I wanted with it to do with the brain tissue. It was trippy as. And anyway, the Ben was meant to have a 7-hour brain surgery. And it was only 5 hours because when they went in on the 5th day, the brain had detached, and they said that he only had a can of Coke's worth of blood in his own body. If he lost a teaspoon of blood, he would die and they couldn't give him a transfusion. And when I'd been 5 months pregnant and they'd said he had fluid on the back of his neck, I looked up Isaiah and it said saved by heaven. So because he lived, I called him Isaiah. And his dad was still around then. And I thought, well, at least I didn't get that bit. And then when he come to see the Ben, he says, I'm not using that phone you've got the number for. He said, but ring us and I'll pick the messages up off it. I went, all right. As soon as he walked out the door, I thought, what are you talking about? He'd just been showing us how much his little girl looked like the Ben. So we had photos of the kids on the phone, but it wasn't his phone. So I left him a message saying, oh, yeah, if you can't come here and be honest, I don't want you don't bother showing your face again because I don't want one of them dads that's just going to come 1 week and not come the next and let the Ben down. Never ever saw him again. So everything came into being. It just sometimes doesn't happen all at once. And that's why they say, be careful what you wish for. Yeah. I don't know what you call them, because I used to say, when I first started looking, I was looking for cliches, but they're not cliches. Is that what a nuance is?
Don't you find some of the worst situations you get yourself embroiled in end up being the all got a silver lining? Like when
definitely.
It's
yeah.
Like you're going through this shit and you're like, why is this happening to me? I can't believe it. And then you get to the other side of that and it's like, all right, that's why I had to go through that so that I can understand this.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? So even the shit's a gift, if you know what I mean.
Well, it was, because I wouldn't have wanted him round every week anyway.
I know, but you know what I'm saying.
I've spent more time out of relationships than I've spent in them. So this is an actual chart of the frequency that feelings, emotions, not feelings, emotions resonate at. So the lower frequencies are actually, if lust was on there, it would be a lower one because it's coming from the lower sacral chakras, but you can elevate beyond that into the heart space, so it's a different kind of connection. So the sins in the Bible are actually just the lower frequency emotions. And so when you, and in your own evolution, you'll experience when you move beyond those points. So you can, when you're in a place of acceptance, because you just don't worry. you just think, well, I know it's all in hand. And the Bible tells you, do the birds store their food all year? No. You just have faith that they'll be provided for. And that's the same with all the animals in creation. They're all provided for. They're not worrying about it like they've got us worrying about it. Here's one of my favourites. Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewal of your mind, that by testing you may discern what is the will of God. Because when you do what's right for you, you feel good. And if we'd been left to our own devices, if you imagine that we arrived on the earth today and we're kids and we're knocking about and we do something good and we feel good, we wouldn't have wanted to do bad things. We would have wanted to feel good and feel more good feelings. So we would have naturally all become righteous upon the earth. So the snake in the garden must be the creation of distraction from the true self. Is that me last? So when you're sovereign, standing in integrity, governed by your own sense of what is right, that's restoring humanity's true crown. And where the inversion is that on the next one? So that where they've inverted the Bible, the church tells you Christ is coming and everyone's waiting around. Exactly the same way they tell you Trump's coming, by the way. So anything that you're waiting for is just one of the psyops to get you to sit round doing nothing while they're rolling out their agenda. Because the fact is that Christ is a level of conscious awareness. It's when you seek your true self, you elevate your frequency and you have the inner known to cause no harm. So the Christ state is living by the natural laws of the land. You inherently know not to cause harm and we all live in harmony. And when we all seek the Christ within ourselves, that's how we return Christ to earth as a collective body, as a collective species. So it's up to us to return Christ to earth. When we are consciously aware, when we seek our true self, when we become righteous upon the earth, it's just doing what is right. And there's so many beautiful things about the righteous in the Bible. The righteous will inherit the land. The righteous will always be in God's favour. The righteous, the treasures will be stored in heaven. And you don't hear the church telling you any of these things. And when Jesus says, because hurting ourselves is to hurt the whole. So that's where karma comes in. And Jesus is talking about the karmic laws when he says, do unto others, lest it be done to yourself. Don't create karma for yourselves. Integrity is the integration of self. So when your words, thoughts and deeds align, that's atonement. You're at one with yourself, at one with the stream of source consciousness that comes from source, at one with God, your sovereign self. Going backwards now. Oh.
So you say we shouldn't believe Chris Whitty?
Are you mad? Just one thing on Chris Whitty. Do you know what they are though? They're behavioural specialists.
Oh, what, sorry?
The Sage is behavioural specialists.
And all that shit. Yeah.
I've got to be aware the time. You can please talk to me later. So in Ephesians it says, put on the full armour of God so that you can take your stand against the devil's schemes. For our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the powers of this dark world, and against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms. Therefore put on the full armour of God, so when the day of evil comes, you may be able to stand your ground, and after you've done everything to stand, stand firm then, with the belt of truth buckled around your waist, with the breastplate of righteousness in place, with your feet fitted with the readiness that comes from the gospel of peace. And in addition to all this, take up the shield of faith, which you can extinguish all the flaming arrows of the evil one. Take the helmet of salvation and the sword of spirit, which is the word of God. So the reason the evil one's arrows miss you is because when you're in your authentic self, you're up here. When you're in judgment, pride, spite, all them lower vibrational things, you're down here. So you're not going to come into alignment with anyone who's resonating up there, because birds of a feather flock together, and we are forming a light body upon the earth, which will literally ascend above all of the negativity. So we would always be observers of the atrocities that are happening, not be involved in them.
You above it now.
Yeah, literally. And it's
See it
like
all down.
everyone is equal, and some are higher than others, but higher does not mean better than, it just means remembers more, because we're all evolving at different stages, so we're all remembering at different times, but you can accelerate your awareness and how quickly you receive by following what you know is right. So just be authentic. You are free to be absolutely your authentic self. Authenticity has been and will always be the highest form of beauty, and no one could ever deny you of such freedom. It is the highest vibration of truth, you. And that's all the Bible's asking you to be. Be true to yourself. Love thyself. Care for yourself as you would care for others. Fill your own cup first, like we said earlier. And then just don't be afraid, for I am with you. Don't be dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you. Yes, I will help you. I will uphold you with the right hand of my righteousness. And I can vouch for, if it wasn't for me faith in God and having my prayers answered, when I held my son's dead body, I asked God for help. And I don't think I would be standing here today without it. And that's just it's a bit small to see, but what that is actually showing you is the evolution, the stages you'll go through, so you'll be able to identify yourself on there somewhere. What I know off the top of my head is sort of in the red at the bottom is the brap, on the street level, and that sort of line of thinking. And then you escalate the learning, and then it's holistic. Can't remember what the yellow one is, but this is actually in psychology. They teach this in psychology. It's called the spiral dynamic, and they're talking about your psychological development, but that's actually what the stages of evolution.
I kind of get my head around Freud, me and the father of psychoanalysis. I just know what he was.
Well, Freud's kids killed themselves.
No, he was just a big baker, mate. That was all clapping with his patients and asked them how they felt about it. And that's where we get what we've got today. This book that says we all suffer from this, or this. I'm not having it, we just was.
I know loads of their things come from dark behaviours, don't they? So the bottom line is, do no harm, take no shit.
All right, Lord.
Right. That's what I say. That's what
Well, obviously, because with self-love, don't allow anyone to abuse you. And it's not about getting involved or getting in an argument with them. It's just choosing to diplomatically say or move away from, I just don't feel it's right for me anymore.
I've got this analogy that's been like fermenting for many years within my head. It started like my daughter had cerebral palsy, so she couldn't play on PlayStation 2. And so I used to play this game called Sims. It was about these characters, like you won points for like doing fitness or making friends and working and stuff like that. And I thought, well, hold on a minute, it's something like, am I a sim for somebody else? And so from that, it's like I've just been really recently, over these last few months, going, right, okay, I'm a character in this game. And I want to play my role to the best of my abilities, which is to love and to care and to cherish that which is valuable.
Well, that's you receiving. That's what people call downloads, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's just the next level of awareness, yeah. And actually, that's a valid point to make. So what's been happening before is we've been born into a dictatorship anyway.
Yes.
You're born, you're going to school, you're getting a job, you'll have 2 holidays a year if you can afford them.
Well, in the summer, you used to have like a fortnight, wasn't it? And just after we supposed to do or Mickey's post. Fortnight, as in like on a scrap or a night in China Norma, and I like word association in the weekend. At the end of the week, after your 12-hour shifts, you go stand there. So you wake at the dynamo with the anagram on the Monday, isn't it?
Where's gone?
Sorry.
I know that our Joe was meant to be there for the end, please not. So basically, what inherent rights supersede all jurisdictions. That's all you need to know. Because anything created by man cannot reign above man, because it would not exist without mankind's creation. So your rights were there first, and if you had to use them in court, that's why I was asking if this was Paul's only business. Because if it was, he could go into court and say he has a right to life, he has a right to keep a roof over his head and put food on the table, and that would supersede the licence carry on. So I just wanted to leave you with, it was the second message I got. I got this in 2016, and I feel like it's more relevant now than ever. So it says, our paths are so important. We must each follow our highest path, answer our calling to save humanity. If you were the creator of your own reality, wouldn't you want to be the hero of the universe? Everyone wants to be a hero. And you know, heroes, anyone, if a lady falls down in the street and a man picks her up, he's the hero of the day to that lady. So therefore, we are each and all the hero who saves humanity. I am the saviour of all things. You are now awake. Each and all the saviour of Christ himself. This is our mission, to wake as many people up as we can. We can invite everyone to a real awakening. They will come from far and wide, for I am Christ himself. This is how dumbed down we are. If we are not prepared to save humanity, why are we here? We are here to save humanity from itself. That's why this is the end of all things. That's why we are experiencing the end of all things. So we could fulfill our dreams. We sensed humanity was in a mess as soon as we arrived. That's why we've always known we have a mission to fulfill. It's our job to spread the word. I am Mary, and my son died for a reason. And Victoria knows how important it is to have a reason for your son's death. Joe died for the same reason as Jesus, to help you all save humanity. We need to get to work. We are all channels of Christ himself. We just need to remember, so I am here to remind you. Listen to your inner voice, every highest thought, every most grand feeling in your very loudest word. Follow your path to save humanity. It's time to wake up. Now is the time to act, and we ought to be subtle about it. It's whether we believe or not, that is the question. I believe in God. If you believe in God, nothing should hold you back. We are returning Christ to earth one by one. This is the spiritual arc. It is how to save yourself. It is how Christ will save you. He calls through the hearts of mankind. He calls through the hearts of all spiritual beings. There is method in the madness. Now you remember. I'm awake and I remember. Deep down, you did know that anyway. That's why we've all been trying to piece it together for so long. We are the chosen ones, all of us together. The system is to stop the return of the Saviour, to maintain hell on earth. When everyone follows their highest path, we will all receive the Christ consciousness. Then we will all ascend to heaven on earth. This is the activation of our ascension. May the force be with you. And it was given to us on Joe's birthday in the very early hours. And I just wanted to finish with, we're freedom, we're evolution and ascension, because we live in a realm of free will, is just one conscious choice away.
It is, it's as simple as that.
Okay.
It really is, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Victoria. It's a really, really inspiring talk, and I think we'll have some questions now. But I've got like a first question. It was inspiring to hear all of this like spiritual stuff, and I think a lot of us have come together because we feel there's something very wrong, and there is a kind of like an aversion to spirituality because of the connection with religion, and so I wondered if you could just sort of explain a bit how we can overcome that and be aware of that and everything.
Well, I think the thing to realise about religion is it's exactly what the government have just done with the flu.
Yep.
Yeah.
They've deliberately created the dogma around the Bible to make you not want to be anywhere near it, because it's the book of natural law. You can use scripture in court. Bye, darling. So you can actually use the scripture in court and they have to accept it.
Any questions? Anyone? Any more questions?
Can I just say I couldn't have started with how she started. Like, I didn't know if I would have been here. I didn't know if I would have been strangling the doctors or the police. I'd been at my door, you know. So I've got massive respect for you for that.
Thank you.
I'd just like to say that I'm aware of Christ consciousness, Buddha consciousness, Allah, Tao Te Ching, it is. Yeah. But what it is for me is like, I don't like the idea of a gaseous vertebrate handing down diktats, i.e. the Bible as it were, you know, like what I said, that's control. So for me, I'm a tree hugger. And I catch
I'm a tree hugger. But the Bible.
So for me, what I'm saying is, I want to say that, like, for me, God is life. I just say life.
That's
exactly
that's
the
right.
same thing.
That's
no
right. But the Bible is the book of life.
Yes, exactly. So you get.
But for me, because I've never been religious, you're looking at it with fresh eyes.
Fresh eyes, absolutely.
And
to be a devil, right? It's not evil to live your life. And life is default backwards as well.
But what I see like valuable about Victoria, what Victoria is telling us now at this time is that we're seeing this authority go absolutely crazy, and we're seeing like police coming out saying, I am the crown, you know, I'm a representative of the crown. Yeah. Well, we're representatives of the crown. We're standing on a higher authority. We would say to that police officer, you know, your crown is an imposter.
Well, you can say the crown is mine. We are sovereign men and women.
Yeah.
I mean, the dichotomy of good and evil, do you know what I mean? I'm sorry, you go down one path and you go down the other. Now, I'm not trying to put myself on a highfalutin good path or whatever like that, but like just the common law.
But you not think darkness leads to light?
I don't want to harm anybody, I don't want to lie to anybody, and I don't want to hurt anybody, and I'll accept all the help I can get, and blah, blah, blah. And it's just like go along to get along, and that's exactly what you've got to treasure for me.
Do you know
what I mean? I know people who are really good at growing vegetables. I try, and you know, I even going back to the supermarket because I'm shit. But like, so we all need
keep coming. We're going to talk about that one
week.
We're going to talk about permaculture.
This is something I do. Is about the spiritual uplift, man. It's like you would have spoken to me 3 or 4 years ago on spirituality, and I've just been out pissing off.
But we even say, oh, that really lifted me spirit.
Yeah.
So you're aware of it without being aware of it.
You are, yeah, very good. And I've said it all my life, but like without being aware of it, yeah. But then.
And that what they're trying to do is, because we're a collective species, and the collective species is one cell, they want to destroy the cell, and they're trying. So if we're all little spirits, if you like, we make one big collective spirit, and they want to kill the spirit.
Yeah.
So what we need to do is elevate the spirit. We need to resurrect with a spirit.
Just say good morning to yourself.
Grand rising.
Yeah, just say good morning.
Good morning is the morning acknowledging the dead corporate entity.
Right.
I only found that out recently.
All right.
So they say grand rising.
Explain that again. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah.
It was MOURNIG. So you're acknowledging your dead entity every day.
so we shouldn't be saying that.
No.
So we say grand rising because
Grand
and it's perfectly fitting for now. The rising of the
These are
spirit.
spells. These are spells, are they?
Yeah,
Bonus.
yeah, definitely.
Wow.
You know, shocking, I know.
Okay, we finished now, but just try and don't get too loud and noisy, but we can stick around and we can ask Victoria questions. I think.
I'd like to say something. I'd like to raise a toast to his son.
Thank you.
Joe.
Joy.
Raise his glasses, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you. What can I just guys I know there was a. Thank you, John.
I really enjoyed your talk, by the way.
Yeah, me too. Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah, thank you.
It's inspirational.
Amazing journey.
I couldn't talk about it. With the face and look and natural growth for the world, isn't it? I really think I would do on that bottom level of that corner you have on that.
My don't get us wrong, it never goes away. I just said to my friend the other day, there's like, I don't know if you're aware of that case going around with, have you heard that Billy and Leona case? Yeah. I was working on that case at the start. And the reason I left Truth Pills was because he's spreading misinformation and I fundamentally disagree with it. It's not in alignment with my integrity.
Sorry, when you said he, that's it.
Wait, Danny? I've got loads of love for Danny John.
I just didn't know who you meant by he.
Yeah, Danny was the one who started Truth Pills.
No, I know all the story, but when you said he at that point, I didn't know.
All right, well, Danny, but to put him on an even keel, he caught 103 paedophiles on his own by creating false accounts. And one of the blokes was 93, actually using a 9-year-old girl to get the kids. But it was just, Danny's in a perpetuating fear state. He's terrified that they're going to come and take the kids. And so when this Leona case come up, he got fixated on, she got taken for the coronavirus beliefs. And in one of the police chats, the police are saying that to him. But because my dad always told me to take the emotion out of it, I can observe without getting emotionally involved. And the facts are that Billy didn't deregister Leona from school. So that was a red flag straight away. And then he didn't engage with social services for 18 months. And having spoke to a foster carer who knows the procedure is to go in after 6 months if they don't communicate. So he's actually had a year's grace. So I would have just appreciated if Danny had given the facts, because it's not to say that but the thing was with Billy, he was completely honest about everything. The satanic paedophiles, the little girls telling them there's human meat in McDonald's, there's graphene oxide in the jabs,
And bits of babies as well.
and all fetal tissue, and shouting at the judge and that. And, fair enough, he's being honest, but when it comes, I give up everything to stand in integrity under God. But if it come down to me son, I'd step straight out of my integrity to protect them. And I did say it to Billy last year. It was September last year. And I said to him, email social services and ask for it in writing that they confirm to you that Leona will not be vaccinated or tested. So he messaged them and asked them, and they said, all right, Billy, would you like it in an email? I can email it over now. And his response was, no, I don't want it in an email. I want it handwritten, and I want something else on the bottom. And I just was like, just stop talking, just accept what's being offered. So there's conflict between me and the lads, because me and Matthew, have you seen Matthew who speaks out of the gyms?
Yes.
Heart of gold.
Yeah.
And me and Matthew are having words because I feel like, I says, I'm not bothered what Danny says. At the end of the day, Billy's mistakes should have been highlighted to protect other people. To make clear that actually they didn't just come and boot his door in because of his corona beliefs.
it was because there was all this other crap leading up to it, and the corona beliefs were part of the parcel, but they weren't the trigger for the police coming to the door. And there's a backstory to it. Leona was sexually abused in the mother's care, and Billy had put a request into social services to ask that to check on her because his intuition was telling him something was wrong, and they didn't follow through. So he had to fight 4 years to get Leona, and she had little bruises at the tops of her legs where she'd been abused. So the trauma of that, obviously, he didn't want to engage, and he didn't know about the deregistering. But if we're going to create a new world, then please found it in truth. And it's not to shame him for making mistakes, it's to allow others not to create the same ones. So I can't remember why I was telling you that now.
Any more questions? I mean, I've got questions. Can I ask you a question?
No, just why you know in the news.
Chris Whitty's more
No,
Chris Van Tampon. Where's Van Tampon?
I got told Prince Harry was insane the other day. I said, if Prince Harry was insane, come on.
This is Victoria's news, though, isn't it? It's media. Really? Each of us.
All respect.
No, but you know what? I've been thinking about moving back for the last 5 years.
Where's the movement going wrong? I mean,
That story.
True
you've got a feeling that this
Aye. Well, to protest anyway is to beg. That's what it means. To protest is to beg. Petition's the same thing. It's all to beg.
Like, you know, you're saying send back what's it Vagina sender thing, and I was like, I'm ignoring them because I feel like that I hit them at any level.
Well, you know the just to say on the protests, you know the London protests where they've been talking there for months. I've spoken to a couple of them and actually called them Stasi arse-lickers because they were in London. They were marking out the route with the police.
The told me that the women and children were getting attacked at the front, so I went to the front, we got the police.
And Fiona Rose Diamond and them. Louise Hamilton. Which is the one who was in stand up? But which Louise? That's Louise whatever her name is. But the I don't know about that, darling. But
that's wrong, that way, because to protect women's ID in my eye, in case it happens to her later, put that lad as his name and address printed in the paper, and he has to live after the rest of his life, even if she's a skunky liar. You know what I mean? It's one of them, yeah.
Oh, she is a.
I'll say the words.
Well, I did hear that because someone I know really well is just a contact away from what happened there, and she incited all of that.
Well, I've got the guy on Facebook. I've got talking to the guy on Facebook somehow he does his own lives. Like, and you're talking about Met in Warwick or Met Warwick.
Met?
Yeah.
With black hair?
Yeah.
I don't like him.
You don't like him?
He's got a massive ego. He was the one that brought the Leona case to the group I was working in, and everyone in that group had mutual respect for each other and used to share ideas and expand on those ideas. And he just came in telling everyone what to do, like he ruled the place. And what he actually did was he put a video out about Leona. They talked about starting a GoFundMe in the morning. So my friend had a rolling GoFundMe for the community, and she always put all of our receipts in our group so everyone could see where the money went. And we actually got, Billy didn't have a cooker, so we got Billy a cooker and sent it down, got them a laptop and sent it down. And that Met put a video out saying that Deanne is taking money for ill-gotten gains and I didn't give her the authority. And that's why I left. I said, who needs your authority to do something good for the community? All ego, if it's the same one.
Like, he's quite, you know.
Up his own arse is what I would say he is.
He's suspicious of people, I think. He did the same himself, like a year ago when, remember the truckers that were at Dover and couldn't get back without a test or something.
Oh yeah.
He raised money for that to get them food while they were stuck in traffic for like 1 or 2 days.
I know, but you know, he's doing that for his own ego.
Yeah.
And that's where I've got issue with it. When I spoke, it was like, I said this in Chris's Three Amigo thing yesterday. They were talking about us, right, because we're northern, as grassroots, and they were the leaders' war room. So they saw us as superior. They saw themselves as superior to us. And I said, who calls the group leaders' war room? I says, who nominates herself the leader anyway? I says, leaders lead by example. I said, you don't decide yourself that you are. I said, and why are you? I said, you're getting everything signed off for Boris, and you're getting everyone to march around London to the beat of Boris's drum. And the wrote and then this other lass, Tara, she's actually all right once you've had a word with her. And she said, oh, we need to all spur on because grassroots will lead the way. And I just thought, we didn't need your connections, man. We've got our own. And do you know, they're just so... And I said, yous are all me. And we are all we. I said, when it comes down to it and the shit hits the fan, you want to think about who yous are talking about, because we all know we're going to be all right and no one's going to entertain any of yous. No, wouldn't have... Matty, bless him, he's always saying we all need to unite. I said, I'm not having no snakes in my camp. You didn't want a Judas round you, do you? If you want to survive, they'd be flipping grassing on you straight away.
Controlled opposition, though.
Well,
of course, but you know this, I question Mark Steele. I question all of them who talk on the platform. I did started a video off. It was a chain video, and it said, I do not consent to the Coronavirus Act. Acts and statutes do not become law without the consent of the governed. And we, the people, do not consent. And my friend put it out on a platform and they got like 200 chain videos. And then we used the GoFundMe to get a digivan. And on the 19th of July, we went to park the digivan on Parliament Square and play the 200 videos of everyone's face saying we don't consent.
When did you say that? July 19th?
Yeah, last year.
And I got a look.
Ah, was it? Well, do you know, the cop...
When it was parked up in the road, they got it and took it, didn't they? We were there.
Were you? 5 minutes?
Yeah.
5 minutes?
Didn't even get struck up or anything.
No, 800 quid down the pan like that, but they've got massive stages there and they're allowed to sprout shite, and it's repeated shite. We've all heard it 100 times over. Now, if they really wanted to serve humanity, why is there not a directive every month? So when you go to whatever protest and they go, right, this month we're all going to target our council. So whoever's there, whatever area you're in, we're going to flood the car parks. So we make a collective stand, a unified stand, in a one that doesn't cause harm. A collective presence is enough to feel threatened, even if you're there in good nature. So I don't listen to anything they say, because the only place they're leading people is up the garden path.
I think the only thing I get from it is the community spirit. I do like it.
I said exactly the same myself. If you didn't see it, yes, if you didn't see it, I'd feel downhearted myself. It's lovely to see the unity in the community and to make the connections. But I just don't feel like it's being utilised to its maximum potential.
I don't actually see how it ever can be utilised with the fractured state of the multitude.
Because, do you know how they create terrorist cells so then people are safe and they don't get attacked? Well, we are the independent cells of the creator, and we've all got an inner guidance system. So as soon as we start doing what we know is right everywhere, we might be standing as one, but we're not alone because we're working as a collective. We're all standing in unity together.
Getting it all together on Telegram or Instagram or doing all this stuff, or listening to speeches and going on guided marches. How are you, mate? It feels fucking fantastic. You know what I mean? You come away energized, you realise you're not the only loony in the room. Yeah.
Well, then we have to take that energy, don't we?
But
redress it and
what
make it positive.
I think you were saying, and what I think is critically important, is you take to that march what you want that march to produce, and you don't ask for agreement on it, you don't ask for consensus. It's like, I'm here to spread the love, I'm here to spread the joy, I'm here to bring a better world forward. How that manifests, I don't fucking know, do you know what I mean? But that's how I feel about it.
But everyone has to take responsibility for what's happening.
For what you're doing, yeah.
Because it's even if you see a wrongdoing in the street, you can say, yeah, mate, that's not right. And the more people who are doing what is right, then you'll find that you've got brothers and sisters supporting you wherever you stand, because you're leading by example, and people are going to realise there's no other direction to go in other than doing what is right. And we've all been blessed with the inner knowing of what is right, so that it says in the Bible, stand upright. And I thought, even asking people to stand, where have we been? On my knees the whole time. Why do I have to ask people to stand up? We should. Standing is one natural way of being. Upright is one natural way of being. So energetically, if we're standing like this, or causing disharmony on the earth, as soon as we decide to stand up, it's game over for them, because they've built the entire system on the backs of the men and women of this flipping world. So we don't need to take back anything. No, it's already ours. And the way we extend our rights is to exercise them. Let's start using our rights everywhere we can. Let's set the example to others so they flip and follow the example and build our numbers that way.
I'd just like to say, I mean, you mentioned Mark Staley. Everybody in this room, I suppose, could rattle off favourite podcast that they go to. This bullshit controlled opposition. Yeah, I suppose there will be some. Don't buy in.
I've got absolutely nothing against him.
If you find a voice that resonates with you at that moment in time in your life, follow it.
But that's what led me to this, because I followed them all and went nowhere and being devastated about it. But what it was about Mark, and I've asked him. If it resonates, then it's for you. But it was just, I asked him, I was on a call with him in Dolores Carhill, and I said to him, if you've got all this information and you're an ex-bioweapons specialist, it just didn't make sense to me that no one in the military is acknowledging what he's got to say. He's an ex-bioweapons specialist, surely they'd be taking, yeah?
But he would say that they're all too compartmentalised to comprehend what he can see.
Yeah, but surely someone who's an ex-bioweapons specialist holds some weight. Do you not think?
Is that not how he won the case with Gated Council?
Well, but even if he's God sent, where's the directive? We're all sitting hearing the same stories. We need a direction to move in. We need to be moving forward. We need to be striding forward at this stage.
So when you look at Mark Steele, and when I was following Mark Steele, well before the COVID thing came up.
So was I've seen all his psychical stuff and that.
Well, then look at Barry Trevor and see what he's saying, and it does correlate really well with what he's saying, you know. And then the Russian sort of research.
Well, I just think why is it now happening underground to start getting them ripped out or burned down? Then, if they've got the potential to fry everyone, I'd be more enthusiastic than that.
You're right. And maybe the frying is, you know, is that going to happen? Let's hope not. But certainly radiation sicknesses are happening, I would think, you know. When we've never had the world covered in a network such as 5G and covered in that sort of radiation ever.
Yeah, but they've got the power to fry the planet.
Yes.
Do you know?
Hopefully it never ever happens, you know. But it is going to kill the virus.
When I was in fight or flight, when I was in a fear state last year, and do you know when you go into fight or flight, and I just felt so passionate about, let's burn them down. They need to be burned down now.
But that's what I'm saying, because
I know. Well, yeah, I'm on a fitting camera, allegedly. But then when I spoke to Mark, he was saying they had gold in, and I was like, well, the travellers would love that. But at the end of the day, what I was saying, that's wrong. They're causing harm. It's a fundamental breach of the law. And regardless, they should be taken down. And if they have to be burned down, then so be it.
We're not challenging. Like,
It's inherent laws of self-defense.
I know you're not, but I just mean
challenging it, you know.
for the potential damage it can cause in the, you know, the damaging of babies and little ones. I put a video out last
I
year.
think it's people are sold on the fact that, oh, well, I've got a faster down. They're fine.
They put a
They're not
5.
interested in what EMF energy can actually do to them.
No, they put a 5G tower in America next to the baby's nursery.
It's disgraceful. I mean, many years ago, I mean, we protested in Stockton High Street, and we actually got a tower. We stopped them from putting a tower next to a school where my son was going, and that's what we did. And that was probably 2G back then. That's how long ago it was, you know. And I knew about EMF and what the damage it could do to people then, and they knew the reports that were coming out and what it could do to children then. 5G is a weaponized system, you know. It's shortwave, pulse microwave energy, and it will cause a damn sight more damage than what 4G will do. You know, so it is going to be very, very challenging. We do need to stop it by whatever means.
Yeah. And you're not going to get that from the councils.
No,
and what concerns me is how.
I think we could probably stand together and probably put weight on them.